Well, hello and welcome. My name is Mansi and welcome to the MasterClass on India's leading educational and job YouTube news channel, Shavsi Media. Today we have our distinguished guest, Dr. Amaresh Jha from GD Goenka University, Assistant Professor in School of Communication. Sir, welcome to our show.
Thank you, Mansi.
Sir, so as you were teaching from 17 years, what motivated you to choose teaching profession?
See, teaching is, I think, a passion, and more than a profession, it is a legitimate passion, most ethical passion one has to exchange the knowledge. And these days, teaching is not a passive teaching, it's more about learning also. And my aim was to learn from the new generation. And that is why whenever I teach students, I try to know more from them because I think unless there is exchange of knowledge, teachers cannot gain new insights. That is why I opted for a profession of teaching. Earlier, I used to be a journalist.
That's really good. According to a research, 55% indicated that they are certain or fairly certain they'll participate in study abroad, with another 26% indicating a strong desire to study abroad. What advice will you give to the students about selecting a college abroad?
See, there are so many factors which work while selecting study abroad program. It depends on number one, the tenure of study abroad program because affordability is a very big concern. So if someone can afford full-fledged education abroad, like 4 years BTech course or 2 years MBA course, that is very costly. Then definitely they will go for that. But short-term study abroad programs are also managed by universities, and that is, I think, the maximum students from Indian universities go for short-term study abroad programs, and that is intended for just getting the exposure of the educational curriculum abroad, the way they teach, and also the cross-cultural experiences. And that is why we think that the level of desire for going abroad differs from class to class also. So those who are from a well-to-do family and those from those families from in which there is someone already settled abroad, I have seen a trend that those families prefer to send their wards abroad. Okay, and there's lack of awareness in the masses regarding how to send their wards abroad and what are the scholarship opportunities, and that is why we need to work a lot on internationalization process of universities.
Yes, okay, thank you. So, sir, as we all know, Western culture is perceived to be more open and demonstrative. Do you think Indian students
Yeah.
follow quickly in the culture and traditions?
See, we open up with experiences. Okay, it is not like that. If someone comes from a rural background to an urban university, suppose, then also there is same problem of accommodation. And the same thing happens when you leave your country and go abroad for education. So cultural factor and cultural experiences are very important in the process of internationalization, particularly when a student migrates from a third world country to a first world country, that is called a developed country, because they are more open than us. And therefore, I think we should train our students first about the cultures, their language, their way of talking, their way of behavior. So what happened in Amity when I was with Amity University, the internationalization department there used to train students before sending them abroad for studies that what are the cultural attributes of those societies and that place. But now I think from the research studies that I have got that most of the universities, particularly in Australia and New Zealand, there you will find that there is already an Asian community studying there. And that is why there is no cultural shock to new students. Whenever they go to Australia, they find that already there is an Indian community there, and they are ready to help. And you will also find that while attracting students to those universities, the Australian universities or the European universities or the American universities, they use Indian students as brand ambassadors to attract Indian students. They use Pakistani students as brand ambassadors to attract students from Pakistan. And that is why I think it used to be a very different phenomena 10 years back, but now they have adopted an altogether different practice. And that is why there's not much cultural shock to our students when they go abroad.
Yes. So, even in India, when a student migrates to another state for higher studies, college demand local contacts. How important is
Yeah,
this for the students who do not have any trustworthy people in another country in case of emergency?
yeah. That is why I told you that every university has a regional club, okay, like Asian Club or Indian Club. Then some universities are having South Asian Institute. So suppose you are not having anyone in that country from your family or from your friend groups. So then you can go there and register as part of that community group, okay? So, and they will help you. And the second thing is that suppose there is no community member also, or there is no one from your country also, then you should be in touch with your embassy, okay? Because in every country you will find there is an Indian embassy and they are always there to help you if there is any problem.
Okay. Yes. As we also come from media background, how will a student decide on a country to study for mass communication?
See, the education is transforming, particularly post COVID-19. I have studied some reports. They're saying that now the big universities are not going to exist if the same situation continues for long, because most of the universities are running in loss abroad. So we go abroad to learn specialization, specific skills. I don't think to learn media skills you need to go abroad. Okay. Unless you are willing to learn some specific skill like the kind of animation being used in Hollywood movies. Okay. Otherwise, for the generic courses like Bachelor of Journalism and Mass Communication, Masters of Journalism and Mass Communication, then photography, videography, video editing, gaming, etc., etc. Whatsoever technology is based on information communication technology, ICT, or video or audio engineering, all the courses are taught here in much more detail and with deeper insight in India compared to other universities abroad. But for the specific skills like for getting trained in new technologies which has not yet got innovated in India and has not got diffused into the third world countries, if you are willing to learn any new technology which has not come to India, then obviously you should think of pursuing media. Indian universities and Indian institutions, Indian professionals are much capable of teaching media and communication to students.
Okay. Well, this is not hidden that us Indians are make shifters. So what can be the cheapest and affordable ways to study abroad?
See, this is why I told you that most of the people who have not witnessed the study abroad program before, most of the families where no one has heard about it, they should explore. And I think your Sasri Media and Sasri Consultancy Group is also working in that direction. I had a discussion with Shashank. They are working on it. And I have seen so many webinars happening these days during lockdown. So they were informing students who participated in webinars. And I was also part of one of such webinars organized by uh, an institution. There are lots of scholarship opportunities for Asian students, but definitely not for all programs and not for all the universities, but there are opportunities. So if you are from a poor family and you cannot afford the scholarships, okay, and I think the Indians who are deserving, Indian students who are deserving, they get scholarship opportunities abroad, but definitely they have to showcase the skills and their knowledge, okay, and based on that they get selected. So there are definitely scholarship tests, and if they qualify, they definitely get scholarships, and that is not much cheaper.
Yes.
That is not much expensive. It's a cheaper option. Yes.
Mhm. Yes. So how much statement of purpose and letter of recommendation is important for overseas education?
See, they look for three recommendations at least. One from the educational institution where you are pursuing your current education. Okay. One from the person from that university where you are applying. Okay. So you will have to write to them that I'm willing to apply and I seek your letter of recommendation. And one from the student who has studied there overseas, okay, in that university. So if you get these three recommendations, it is sufficient for studying.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Sir, finally, any message to the viewer of Shavsi Media?
See, Sahil Media is a good initiative, and I think unless you inform people, they don't get empowered. And right to quality education is very important. We in India we do have right to education, but we do not have right to quality education. And it's a Indian, philosophy that we should welcome knowledge from all sides of the world. Okay, let the noble thoughts come to us from every side of the world. So India used to be, educational guru for the world, and that is our history. But unfortunately, our educational system lacks scientific rigor, and with time we have improved with so many educational institutions like IITs and IIMs. So our institutes are also very capable, but in the international rankings our universities are far behind compared to the universities of US, Europe and Australia. Okay, and therefore, our students, the students who can afford and students who are meritorious, try to go abroad to study in well-ranked universities, which is within 100 in QS ranking. And that definitely gives you an added advantage, okay, in your career. And that is why to the listeners of whosoever uh, will view this conversation, I would suggest that before selecting any program to go ahead with abroad, you first inquire that whether that program is offered by an university which is highly ranked.